Hi, my name is Mark Harrison, and I'm going to talk to you about using Socrative for short formative assessments. That's a bust of Socrates. Little known fact that Socrates' last words were, "What do you mean hemlock is poison? Why didn't anybody tell me hemlock is poison?" I stole that from Steve Martin. I'm not going to go through the mechanics of using the program. It's pretty simple. You can find it at Socrative.com. The point is using short multiple choice questions as a formative tool. Other programs besides Socrative would work, and you could do it with pencil and paper. Formative assessment is to help students know where they are and where to go. This is my dog Molly. She's on the left. I taught her to speak French. She didn't learn it, but I taught it. I prepared lessons and assigned practice. I didn't direct any of the practice, and I didn't collect or grade any classwork. But she didn't seem to have any questions, so I assumed she knew what was going on. After the time prescribed by the pacing guide, I scheduled a test. And I gave her a little formative assessment then, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I gave her a review packet and said if she did it overnight that I'd give her some points on the test when she took it. Well, she took the test and she didn't do very well. I assigned a grade and gave it to her. Told her we could relearn some of the stuff, but she said since I'd already assigned a grade, she didn't have any interest in relearning. The learning was done. And the result, of course, is that the dog doesn't speak French. Needless to say, this is a made-up story. The dog's not ever going to learn French, but I hope that illustrates a poor use of formative assessment. Here's a question, multiple choice question I might use, and how it appears on the right in Socrative. Notice I only have 3 answer choices. I get away from using 4. Here's another question, 3 answer choices. I include as many distractors as there are misconceptions that I'm testing against. So there'll be 1 right answer and 2 distractors. And the distractors should relate to a common misconception that students have. Here's another question with 1 correct answer and 2 distractors. This question might be improved because if students get this question wrong, I won't necessarily know if it's because they missed the learning target or they had trouble with the logic needed to answer the question. There's no need to include nonsense answers as distractors. Train the students that this is a tool to help them learn. And one of the things I do is I don't include this as a weighted grade, so it doesn't affect their grade. Here's a question that also fails ever so slightly. One of the distractors would result from incorrect computation, but I'm not targeting computation for this. I'm targeting a different concept, so I might want to revise this question. Here's an excellent question. One of the answers is correct. One of the distractors occurs if they compose the functions in the incorrect order, and another distractor is a result of multiplying instead of composing. And these are concepts that I'm checking. Here's a visual display that Socrative provides. If you read the columns, you see that students did well with questions 1 and 3, possibly 4. They did poorly with 8, 9, and 10. And you can read across and see how each student did individually. It does a nice job of grouping, so if I know what questions 1, 2, and 3 were about, or 8, 9, and 10, I know that I can probably move on from 1, 2, and 3, but I might need to reteach 8, 9, and 10. Here's an individual student display. Now, I would certainly print this for a student and give this to them so that they could determine next steps on their own, or I could help them with that. If I don't want to print it, I can send it electronically because it is in PDF format. Students need next steps. I'm a math teacher, so I centered around math, but here's a multiple choice exam given to me by an English teacher. Notice how they have 4 answer choices. I might cut that down to 3 and make sure that each distractor is targeting a different misconception. I prefer short formative assessments to long ones. This one is too long, 14 or 15 questions. I think this tested as many as 5 concepts. And for the purpose of this demonstration, this is just too long. We want to make it short. Here's an excellent one. 5 questions. Students could do this as they arrive at class, or you could use this as an exit ticket type activity as students are leaving class. And you target one learning target, and you'll know. Make sure that when you're giving formative assessment of any type, that there's time for students to make the corrections. There's no help to giving a formative assessment the day before a test. And then students know they don't know something, but they don't have time to learn, they don't have time to fix it. And if you provide students with an ongoing record of these formative assessments, it helps when it comes to test time because they won't be asking, is this going to be on the test? Well, if it was part of the formative assessment, then it was certainly important enough that it probably is going to be on the test.